One of the easiest ways to make a Rad Mini more comfortable to ride at higher speed is to change the front chainring. I searched and searched and finally found that somebody had posted a long time ago a suitable replacement part. This is the part. It's available in different size teeth. A standard Rad Mini is 48 tooth. So a lot of people will go from a 48 up to a 53, but I went up to a 56 because that's what, again, the person in the post did, and I'm glad I did. It's pretty much the max size that I would put on the bike because when it's in the folded position, you can still fold it and set it on the frame support without hitting the gear. Um, in order to change it, it's really not difficult. What you'll do is you'll get this part, which includes the chain ring as well as the arm, and it comes with the other side arm. That's necessary because when you change the chain ring, the orientation of the hole, the square hole that's on the inside of the chainring, the new chainring arm, is actually diagonal. It's a diagonal hole compared to a square hole. I mean, they're both square, but you can see the orientation of the square hole. The flat side is facing the crank arm, whereas you can see this is diagonally opposed to the crank arm. So you can't just put on this chain ring and arm. You have to change the opposite side arm. So you'll install the pair. Doing this is actually very simple if you have the right tool. What you'll do is, or at least what I did, if you're not a big bike guy, these are going to be very simple instructions. All you do is just take the chain with your hand and take it off the front chain ring and just set it to the left of the pedal assist sensor. That's that disc that's on the inside next to your crank. Just rest it there. You don't have to take any wheels off. You don't have to turn the bike upside down or anything like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to use an Allen key and you're going to unscrew the bolt that's right in the middle of your crank arm. That comes off pretty easily, but what you'll notice is you can't just pull the crank arm off the crank shaft. You'll need a puller, and that's this part here, which is an inexpensive thing. I think it's like 10 bucks, 12 bucks. So you'll see it's got threads, large threads. Those thread into the actual crank arm. Okay, you can see it's threaded right into the crank arm itself. And then the smaller threaded part, as you tighten that, it basically pushes your crank arm and separates it from the crank itself. Yeah, here it is. So, but these are fine threads. You want to be very careful when you thread this in there. Just be patient. It can be kind of tedious getting it threaded, and you do not want to cross thread this. What I recommend if you I would just recommend threading it counterclockwise until you feel it click, and then start threading it in there, and just do it over and over until you can comfortably get it in there without cross threading it. And then once that's in there, then start tightening on the outer bolt. And again, that will after you've rotated that, 5 or 6 times, it will allow the crank arm to be separated from the crank. So you'll see the pedal assist sensor is there, and you'll have the crank arm separate. So pretty simple. Here's what it looks like as you're assembling it. So you can see the order is the chainring sits on top of the crank arm, and you've got a two-part bushing that looks like that, and the Allen key. You tighten the outer part and it cinches it up. You're going to put the new one on, and I used a dead blow hammer. I didn't beat on it, but I wanted to make sure it's seated pretty well. And then what I did is I restored the bolt that was stock on the rad. And after cinching that up pretty good, I hit it a few more times with the dead blow and make sure that that thing was seated in there real well. And I basically kept doing that until I was real confident that it was seated properly. So the opposite side is going to work the same. You're going to pull off the old crank arm. You're going to put on the new crank arm, obviously making sure that they're oriented correctly, to one another. And then you just restore the bolt, tighten it up, and just keep tapping with a dead blow and get it seated. To remove the pedal on the opposite side of the bike, the left side of the bike, the threading is reversed. So you want to be aware of that and not struggle with that. Once you've got it back on, you can just literally stretch the chain straight over the chain ring. And in my experience, I didn't have to do any work on the chain. I didn't have to get any additional links or do anything. It straight transferred over. So here's the part number for the part. It's a Park Tool CWP-7. It's a universal bike crank puller, square taper, and spline 3-piece crankset. And the new chainring kit is a folding bike crankset, 170 millimeter, 130 BCD round single speed chainring, and it's got various sizes available. You pick them as you add the item to the cart. Again, I went with a 56 tooth bicycle aluminum alloy ultralight sprocket crankset arm fit 14/16 20-inch foldable track road bike. Hope this helps you.